Hey, this is Rich with another quick tips brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Elements Tutorials Group, and let's jump right into this one. Today's viewer wanted to know how to fix up this beautiful woman's photo here. So first of all, let's jump right into this. It's a little bit blurry, so I'm going to actually use the Enhance and Auto Sharpen right there. Let's first fix what we can. I'm going to go to Enhance and do Smart Fix. And that brightened her a whole heck of a lot. So now we want to do is soften everything up. There's a couple things that we can do. First, we want to get the smudge brush, a soft brush here, and let's do a big one, like 150 point. And I'm just going to just do a slight little nudge back and forth here, and that helps soften these little areas up a tad so that when we cover it up, we don't see any of that stuff underneath. Next, we're going to make this about 100 point right around there. And we're going to do the same thing with their cheeks here. Soften them up just a tad. And all you have to do is just go back and forth just a tad like that. And that basically just blurs it out slightly. Right? I'm going to take her facial features and change it just slightly by going to Enhance, and down here adjust facial features. And the first thing we're going to do is go to face. We're going to take the jawbone shape and we're going to narrow it just a tad here. So it gives her a slightly narrower jaw look. And then we're going to take the forehead height and we can bring it down just a tad. So let's go ahead and hit OK on that. And that we fix the facial feature. Next, let's go ahead and start a new layer. This is where all the magic is going to really happen here. We're going to pick a color with the color picker, which is the eyedropper, and what we want to do is find a nice even tone color that's not too dark or not too light. I'm going to say right around here. There. And grab the brush, and now we want a huge brush. So let's do like, I don't know, like a 300 point, and we're just going to paint that in her forehead. Then we'll bring it down to a 200 and paint over the rest of her face to soften it up. Do one blob on the nose. Now we're going to do 100 point and do this space down here like that. I'm going to do a separate layer for this part here and touch up right in there underneath the eyes. Okay, I'm going to turn that off and work on everything else first. Let's go back to the layer of the effect that we just did, this one here. Now we're going to take the eraser and cut out everything else that we don't want to have that effect while it's still at 100%, which obviously would include the glasses. So we take the eraser, and I'm going to actually lessen this, I don't know, like 60%. We can really see the edge of her glasses and follow the rims to make sure that none of that has been taken over by the effect. How do you do that? You go 100%, make a layer in between that effect and the bottom, go to the color, pick black, and then fill in the page. And there you see the effect. This is just the effect. And what I wanted to get rid of with the polygon tool is everything within the glasses. When I'm done doing this, I'll double click and then hit delete. It's gone. And now we can turn off the black. And now that we see that the glasses are left here. And the next thing we move down here, and let's do the same thing with the mouth. It's at 88%. It's hard for me to see it, so I'm going to bring it down even more. And we'll do the lips wider. And just follow her lip line. And let's see, the edge of the face is what we need now. We got a 15 point. We'll zoom out a little bit. And just basically follow the edge of her face. Now, what do? We turn on the black, and now we see what it is that we want to get rid of. Grab the lasso. This time I will use the polygon because it's a much larger area that we want to get rid of. Boom, boom, and hit delete. Come on down to the bottom and do the same thing with the bottom. a process that we do, a technique. I call it masking. And let's turn off the black. Now let's see what we got. Now the mask here, the layer here, is at 40%. We can play around with it. And before we change the color of it, we can work with the opacity. So here's nothing. As we go up a little bit, we can see that it's covering here, and then we go 100%. That's obviously too much. So we want to go somewhere where it's very, very subtle and we don't lose too much of our facial features. I'm going to zoom out again, take a good look at this, and see this is before, after, before, after. So you see that really kind of helps a lot. And now we can actually work with the original layer and our smudge tool and smudge even a little bit more to soften the original. And it turns actually from a blemish to blush. Like that. We could do the same thing with the top. Just keep on smudging it. And once you do that, now what we can do is to soften it up a little bit more. I'm going to create a new layer, and let's pick a color, a little bit lighter, around there. Grab the paintbrush, nice big one, do that again. And we like that. All we have to do now is grab the eraser, make that a 20 point, grab that effect and bring down the opacity so we can see what's underneath it. And like we did the first pass on her face, we do the same thing with her neck by getting rid of the edges of the effect that we don't want. It comes all the way up to here. Turn on the black so we see what we want to get rid of. Grab the polygon and boom, boom, boom. Draw a big box around it and hit delete. Gets rid of what we don't want. Turn the black back off. Let's zoom out. Now I can grab the eraser again and grab a bigger brush around 50 and do a definition cut off of that darker part of the effect to give her chin back. See that? Next, let's work on the eyes. We had already pre-built a softener there. I'm going to zoom in, go to the eyes, and grab a smudge brush, make it a smaller, like a 45 or so. And I'm going to smudge this back into, make sure we get the whole thing, the whole area there. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to lessen the effect by far so that I can grab an eraser and cut out her eyeballs. And do the same thing with this one. And there we go. I wonder what happens if we were to go to Enhance and go to Facial Features and make her eyes a little bit bigger. Let's see if we were to do this size. Yeah, I kind of like that. I think I want to brighten her eyes and brighten her teeth a little bit. So I'm going to make another layer and go to her eyeballs. I'm going to go ahead and just grab almost pure white and point. And then we can bring that almost to nothing and then draw out with the eraser. And we see that the eyes are obviously way too bright. I'm going to bring the opacity down to nothing and then just bring it up just a tiny bit. I mean, really little. Like, let's say like 15%, and that's it. Now let's go down to the teeth and do the same thing with the same white and the same brush. I'm going to, boom, just do a big ol' line across. Go to opacity, let's bring it down to almost nothing. Grab the eraser, and then we draw out what we don't want. If it's too sharp, I've realized that it starts to get really noticeable. See that? Just bring it up a tad. Let's go 25%. And it's hard to tell when you're close up, but when you zoom out, you'll start to tell when I go before, after, before, after. It's really subtle. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that. Let's go ahead and cut her out now. And I'm going to go to her original layer so we can carefully cut out with the eraser. And once we've got her cut out, we're going to go for the polygon tool and cut out the background that we don't need anymore. Once we get to the end here, we double click. We can zoom out. We right click, select inverse, and since we're on that layer, it's going to delete everything but her. Hit Control D to deselect, and I think we got us a pretty good cutout here. So now I'm going to grab all these layers from here to here. I'm going to right click and merge layers. So now they're all married and I can move her anywhere I want here. Grab our cropping tool and do a simple crop. And there we go. That's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. I think it's looking pretty good. This is Rich for this tutorial, calling it quits, saying over and out.